G'day viewers, here to talk about electromagnetism and why I consider it to be two separate fields, two separate dimensions. A lot of people claim that, most scientists, most experts would argue that it is one of the four fundamental forces of nature. I like to think of it as two separate forces, two separate dimensions, if you like. I believe in, from my research and that I believe in a multi-dimensional universe, where we're living in a universe that's made of dimensions that are superimposed on each other. So far I can count 12. And two of these, let's talk about two of these. One is the electric dimension, which we call an electric field. Another one is the magnetic dimension, which we call a magnetic field. Now these combine to form electromagnetism, or the electromagnetic force. But really, let's talk about static conditions. Under a static condition, these two forces are separated. You can have an electric field without magnetism, i.e. a non-moving item with an electric charge on it has no magnetic field. And a magnetic field that is not moving has no electric field. Try and prove me wrong. So here, under static conditions, the forces are separated, but once we impose movement on any of these electric fields or magnetic fields, once they're moving, they're under a dynamic condition and they become conjoined. So that's when they form the electromagnetic force, is when you apply motion. Now motion is a result of energy being placed into the system. Now a while back I asked what energy was and no one gave me an acceptable answer. Some highly credible scientists claimed it was waves. I reject that answer because waves are one of the modes of propagation of energy. Some people said it's the capacity to do work. No, that is a description of what energy can do. So we won't talk about energy in this video. We'll expose what energy is later, and I'm sure most of you will agree. No doubt I'll have people opposed to what I'm saying, but it doesn't matter because this is a theory that I'm working on, and I'm postulating a theory that's almost to the point of being able to put it into a thesis. So this is just part of it. This is just, we're examining the electromagnetic force. And we've broken it down to static and dynamic conditions. And you can see under the static conditions they're two separate entities, and under dynamic conditions they conjoin. Now what the universe doesn't care what you think or I think, but what the universe does not like, it does not like imbalance. So if you've got a wire, I'll just get rid of this. If you've got a wire and place a magnetic field in it, I'll just wipe that out. Oh, that's stupid. That's hard. Maybe I need a bit of moisture, hang on. If you have a bit of wire and you place an electric current in that wire, you're creating while the wire's charging up, you're creating a dynamic condition which creates a magnetic field around the wire. Now what that does is that expands at the speed of light up to the point of where it's reached equilibrium proportional to the current placed in that wire, or what us electrically trained people refer to as the conductor. Nothing to do with trains, but a conductor of electricity. So let's say here's a wire, and you've got to draw a bunch of circles around there. You've got this magnetic field surrounding the wire. It doesn't matter if it's AC, DC, we're just looking at this. This is a frozen moment in time. The fourth dimension, time. And time is a dimension because the strict meaning of the word dimension means measurement, and time can be measured. The electric field can be measured. Magnetism can be mentioned. So there is 3 dimensions on top of your normal spatial 3 dimensions that we live in: height, depth and width. So there's 6 dimensions that we've mentioned already. Now photons travelling throughout the universe, they are dynamic electromagnetic phenomena, and they exist across the 4th dimension. But anyway, let's get back to this electric field and the tensility of space. Now whether you want to call space ether, quantum foam, the big vacuum, whatever you want to call it, outer space, it doesn't matter, because you're in space right now. Whether you're standing on Earth or on Mars or the Moon, you're in space. If you're deep underground in a mine, you're in space. Not outer space, but you are occupying space in the universe. And these rules apply whether you've materialised in the centre of a black hole or you're on the moon. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are in the universe, these rules apply. Now this, when you place a current through this wire, this magnetic field occurs at the speed of light, and the speed of light is proportional to the medium that it's travelling in. Like through water it'll slow down, through a diamond it'll really slow down, in space it is c, the constant speed of light. But let's talk about what happens. We've turned this current on, we've got a steady magnetic field surrounding the conductor. Now what happens when we turn the power off? The universe fights back and punches, well, it doesn't punch it, it compresses that magnetic field back into the conductor. That is the tensility of space. You cannot, under these conditions, you cannot stop it. You can't alter it. That's what happens. The magnetic field, they say it collapses. No, you could say it collapses, but in all technical reality, it is space that is compressing that magnetic field and correcting the imbalance, because that magnetic field is out of balance with the universe. And the universe, like I said, doesn't care about what you or I want or what we want to talk about or what we think. The universe wants to maintain its balance. So anyway, that's just about magnetic fields. This does not happen unless we have a voltage differential. So what causes electromagnetism to be conjoined and make the electromagnetic field? It's one simple thing, and that is force, energy, motion. energy in the form of electromotive force causes a magnetomotive force in the conductor, and this will affect anything around it. If you've got another conductor parallel here, whether it's AC or DC, if it's AC, it'll continually induce a voltage in the neighbouring conductor. If it's DC and you have a rapid, not even rapid, even a DC pulse will induce a pulse in a neighbouring conductor. But that's my argument of why electric and magnetic fields are two separate dimensions, part of my multi-dimensional universe theory. I think this is all part of my gravitational study. We had to re-examine all the physics that I've ever been taught. Most of it's correct, but some of it we're looking at in a 19th century light in the 21st century. So my point of contention here is simply electric and magnetic fields are two separate dimensions. Energy is improperly defined by the current schools of alumni around the world. I'll tell you one thing that energy is: it's trans-dimensional. That's right. I want you to think about that. Energy is trans-dimensional, and it is my opinion, based on my studies and observations, that energy is in its own dimension, and it filters down and manifests in different forms such as motion, electricity, magnetism, all that sort of thing. Energy can appear in many different forms, just as electricity can be generated many different ways and appear in different mediums, for lack of a better word. But anyway, that's just my little theory. I'm currently building a machine that I'm very happy with. I've been locking myself in the shed, trying to get almost impossible resolution. I'm down to about 10 to 20 micron accuracy, which is way more than I need to make my little machine. So I can do it offline without exposing myself to hackers or people that want to spy on what I'm doing or whatever. It's not, what I'm doing is not open for discussion at the moment. I'll present it later. I've repeated the experiment many times. I've lost count. Well over 20-30 times, and each time I get a positive result. It's just confirmation for me. It's like every time I do the experiment, it's just like, wow, it's like that really works. So anyway, that's my little presentation for today, stating that I believe the electric and magnetic fields are two separate entities, and the electromagnetic force is generated by motion. And as you know, there's motion even down to absolute 0 or 0 degrees Kelvin. There's still motion in the nuclei of atoms. They're still spinning on their axis at absolute 0. And if we get, if you want to look at the energy of motion, where E equals mc squared, that's the shorthand equation, and that is the equation that gives us the energy at maximum velocities. And where was I going with that? I've lost, sorry, I digressed there. Yeah, the true equation is a little bit more than E equals mc squared, but if we said E equals mc squared, when C is at C, that is the energy of the mass times c squared, and then we have kinetic energy. This is what you all don't realise. Ke is equal to approximately 1/2 of mv squared. So if V is equal to C, where's the other half? I've already given you the clue, so the disparity is their half. This is, we could just simplify this and say 100%. And here is equal to 50%. There's your conundrum. What happened to the other 50%? Ke mv squared, 1/2 mv squared. Why doesn't Ke equal mv squared? Some people will know. I don't think most of you will. I think you need to go and do a little bit of study. But anyway, we'll talk about energy and relativistic propagation a little bit later. This is my, you know, I was in there building my machine. I'm building a multi-function, numerically controlled milling machine, router, engraver, measurer. It's a machine that's quite accurate. I'm very, very happy. It can produce mirror finishes. So while I'm building this machine and trying to concentrate on physical dimensions of components, my brain just keeps wandering off into the universe, you might say, and I just cannot get it out of my head that you're thinking your current educational paradigm is a little bit backward. You're basing it on 18th and 19th century propositions that aren't quite accurate enough. Now, out of all these people, you know, we'll say Nikola Tesla, he was ahead of his time, and Albert Einstein, both of them. Some people are sort of barracking for Tesla and some people are barracking for Einstein. I support both these guys' work. I think they're brilliant, both of them. And if you can take both of them into specific contexts where applicable, they're both brilliant. And I've expanded on, well, my understanding of Einstein's work. I've sort of extrapolated on his data and Tesla's data. I've joined the two together and I've came up with something, well, you're going to be pretty surprised when you see it. So anyway, it doesn't matter who I am. What matters is the message that I'm delivering. Alright, so have a great day, and we'll talk about this a little bit in the future. Cheers.